Because laughter allows you to escape.
All right. So, 2, 1.
Back again, ever-changing vibe. I'm your host, wALiE. With me again, as always, is Gio.
Yo-dio.
Today, we brought in probably the all-time greatest third mic for this show. In the incredible voice and the incredible dynamic. First time being solo, kind of, on the show.
The GOAT.
Wow, dude. Right into it. That voice, if in case you haven't heard, one of my most popular episodes by far, or any of the episodes that my parents are on. A lot of times it's me trying to keep the marital bickering to a minimum and try to have fun with the episode. You guys actually do really good. I don't know why I said that. But yeah, that's my father. I've talked about on the show how I have our, week or daily phone calls, it's always on my commute home. Well, you guys had gone on a little trip the past weekend. So the last couple of days, actually, let's start with last week. I was out sick. As you could tell, I still sound a little sick. So I didn't have my commute home, so I didn't have my normal calls. Then the second half of the week, when I'm back at work, I didn't have my calls because you guys were on a trip. And now we're in February vacation, so I'm not commuting back and forth to work, so I'm not getting my regular calls. And I'm hoping that I can kind of bring an ounce of what those calls are like on this episode. I don't think we can bleed them out as profoundly when mom is on too, because we're working with a three-way dynamic. I tried giving her a couple of those commute home calls, but I don't know. I don't think she really was able to give me the nonsense back and forth that I was looking for. Like, that's really what I love about those. Like, there's many days where I'm kind of just like going through, like, most of the conversations are me talking at him, to be fair. But I'm usually complaining or going over some of the things that are happening at work, blah, blah, blah. And then I eventually turn it into just bringing up some life situation.
Driving situations, people.
Oh, yeah.
Road rage.
Which is like so exaggerated. Like a guy's 300 feet in front of me, like plenty of room, just slowly pulls out in a way that like still gives me plenty of time. Like, I don't even have to put on my brakes. I'm like, this guy's pulling out front. Like, and then that turns it into this other conversation about life and motivation and drive.
Deep breath in, slow out. Breathe in.
So I wanted to make sure I introduce everybody on this. You're not going to see him on camera, not only for his decision, but also, I'm kind of delaying the YouTube stuff. It's coming along. I've been, continuing to practice my video editing, etc. But I do want to announce, I haven't been announcing the episode number every episode for a little while now. But this one I think is a little important because the next one I will announce, because that's a big milestone. I will be hitting episode 100. And for episode 100, I want to wrap up this little intro to the episode with. I have a lot of big things coming, a lot of big changes to the studio. You might be able to see some of them already. I've been really excited. I've been spending a lot of time just like kind of crafting around in this room. But also coming soon is building the team. Today, sort of temporarily building the team with a third mic being my dad. But hoping to bring on some more guests that I have lined up, some more people being a part of this team as Gio has built into this ever-changing vibe role, something that I can't even equate. I mean, I've just been so thankful for everything he's doing, and just like the way this podcast and this, it's more than a podcast now, and it's really only grown there thanks to Gio and just collaborating with him, not even necessarily like a blatant direct, direction, just kind of seeing how excellent the A0 HD stuff is going and like, oh wait, that's how you use a camera. Oh, that's how we use Final Cut. Oh, you just witnessing you use these things is what's given me that motivation, that like ability to adapt and learn and bring so many new elements to the show.
I appreciate that. But I'm going to stop you right there before we continue on the Random Geo's Great rant for the 76th time. And say maybe we should start the show?
Let's get into the show.
All
Thank
right.
you. Another great thing that he does.
Check stuff.
You know what I'm doing?
Taking still pictures after.
Yeah. Did you give me a still or two?
I give you one.
You have 3 moves. I'll help you out since you've done such a great job and had a.
You asked me for stills.
I know. Let's jump into today's episode. Not really sure a fine-tuned direction that I want to go in. This is part of why I asked my dad earlier to join us in on a third mic, because I think it can help us bleed out some points. But the first thing I kind of want to jump into and I guess hash out, maybe just further articulate the points of view. I think they're more aligned than it'll sound, but Gio and I have been discussing the YouTube situation with Google being sued about being a creator because of the algorithm. And I know this is kind of a butchered. Maybe, Gio,
Okay, so
thank you.
So basically what's been going on with YouTube is there was a situation, I want to say it was like either 2015, 2015, I believe. And basically YouTube had like a couple times where like ISIS or some type of extremist group would be uploading their content. And the way that YouTube's algorithm works is that it recommends to you content similar to what you're already watching. And so I guess there was this one guy who was watching a lot of these videos and in the name of ISIS decided to shoot up this place in France. And so the parents tried to sue YouTube, but there's a law that protects YouTube.
203
A or something, or 203,
yeah.
something like that. But yeah, so regardless of what the actual law is, it basically protects places like YouTube or any of these sites like that.
Pretty much all social medias.
Yeah. Well, not all, but like basically anybody that's like not being a creator and is just allowing people to upload stuff like that from being sued. But so this person is deciding to go after the law itself, stating that because of the fact that YouTube's algorithm recommends content based off of what you're watching and the way that it recommends content, they're arguing that YouTube itself is almost a creator in its own right. And so basically if this person wins, it then changes the way that sites like YouTube or anybody like any of these sites work. And so what I was trying to tell wALiE prior was like, yeah, I think that if say this person wins, right, and all else fails, it's just like becoming a content creator becomes much harder because of the fact that it's now like YouTube is now or any of these sites are now not recommending content based off of who you are. It's just if they decide to even recommend content at all. But it also now it makes them either do one of a few things. A, it's like we don't recommend anything. Everything's just random. You find it, you don't. Like it is that. B, they just go away completely because of the fact that it's just like this is going to take too much time to moderate or too much money to invest in trying to do some type of moderation. So that way we don't get sued for whatever content goes up here. Or 3, they do the whole moderation, which means that they now have to expand in that sense and invest in a bunch of stuff. And even if they do that, it now pigeonholes whatever type of content you create because they're going to be too afraid of, like, depending on which type of content is created, how they may or may not get sued.
As you were going over that, I don't know if we discussed this, but could an option be for those platforms that, like, one of the things they could do is all creators can upload, almost like Amazon, how anybody can sell through Amazon. Anyone can create content through YouTube or whatever, but you pay for that content and you take complete ownership over anything that you upload. And then there's no concept of who, like, there is no algorithm needed. It's just like you pay to put things on that platform.
That would still be essentially option one, which is just like everything is random. You find it if you do or not.
But they can play around with algorithms.
Yes, and they can. And so, but like my defense was just that it makes it difficult for creators to become, like the older creators, it's like they already have a fan basis, everything's fine. My whole thought process was like, it makes it difficult for anybody new or somewhere in that growing in-between stage to like continue their growth in the way that it's growing now.
Or even for, someone who has grown, got like monetized, is at a pretty substantial level, they're going to kind of be locked in and plateau at that level, which one of the best things that like we learned from Mr. Beast is all about like reinvesting into it. Like that's where the growth comes from. And now they won't be able to reinvest because their growth plateaued here. And now they're kind of like locked into this. And then that's not sustainable to like keep putting out content because they're not growing. They're just staying at that same level, and that level might drop. It might not be able to afford a studio, etc.
Yeah. But like the reason why I think it turned into a thing was because it was like,
turned into a debate.
Yeah, it was because as I was debating that whole, like, it does make it more difficult, wALiE's situation was like, yeah, but there's other ways to do it. And I was like, and I kept on trying to bring across the point that it's like, I'm not saying that it's impossible to grow. I'm saying it makes it more difficult because you're not being recommended to all these other people. Right. But like his defense was just like, yeah, but there's still all these other avenues you could find a way. Like, we just evolve. And I was like, that just because there is another option past this does not mean that it is that it's not more difficult.
Well, there's always going to be challenges everywhere we go. As soon as you change something what you're used to doing, there's going to be a challenge. There's going to be winners and there's going to be losers.
Right.
One of the things I think I don't know a lot about it, but one thing I do know is the algorithm. I think the biggest issue there is not so much about people creating content and stuff like that, and I think the algorithm can figure that out. It's just they have to figure it out, but at the same time, I think it was all the deplatforming, all the issues they had with with the COVID things, and they would deplatform people, science and stuff like that. I think that really irritated some folks. But if they do that, I don't know where this is going to go, and I don't have an answer one way or the other which way best way to go. But it would be a shame if they didn't allow the creativity that's going on there. I love going to my YouTube,
right,
and coming up with stuff. So, but at the same time, YouTube is very similar to your Google search, which they're both owned by the same thing, right?
Yeah.
Google does have an algorithm where certain folks, if you pay, and they're going to push you a little higher. So if you're the little man, you probably want Google to change their algorithm. If you're because the little man doesn't always gets pushed aside. So you got to weigh those options too. Maybe they have to have some kind of more balance, because there is a certain amount of bias in that, depending who you are and what you do and what you're going to show up on Google more so than you're going to be down here, or even when they talk about when you first come in the first page of Google, right? Who gets in the first few pages. Mm-hmm. There's an algorithm for that too, and they don't want their competitors on that first few pages. So same thing. So I think for a little guy, sometimes you're thinking, okay, maybe a change will be better, or it's hard. It's hard to tell.
So the problem it isn't necessarily the fact that it's like when the algorithm changes. It's the fact that like if YouTube essentially wants to be safe, they have to get rid of algorithm altogether.
Oh.
So then there's no more algorithm, because that's the thing that's making people making this whole thing come to light, is the fact that it's like this algorithm
that's what they're attacking.
This algorithm is what is now making them essentially a creator. That law that protects like sites like YouTube or any type of social media content creating site it now they have it's
The
like
law
they're-
states something along the lines of
they
like
can get sued basically.
Yeah, but
they have the authority to create not only an algorithm, but they can also take things down or like leave things up. And it's more so to protect them, because if there is something like an ISIS video, it's inconceivable with the size of the internet that they can see it right away. It's they compared it to like a bookstore. So if a bookstore sells all these books, and one of the books on their shelves is like, you know, something so derogatory, like a Mein Kampf that had just got written, but we don't know. It's just on the shelves. The bookstore can't be sued because I'm not supposed to read every book. I'm just supposed to provide books for my customers. But if like a newspaper published that same like article, like story or book or whatever it was, they're liable because they're supposed to be editing everything that they're putting out to the world. So that's where the like YouTube thing currently is at, where whatever they put out, they have the authority to, like, once they're notified, like if a customer came in, like, you're selling this book, do you know what this book says? Like, no, what does it say? Oh, it says blah, blah, blah. All right, we'll take that off our shelves. We'll stop selling that. That's what YouTube is kind of doing right now. Is like, but is like they'll take things down that they don't want, that they are getting flagged, whatever. But the algorithm, what the person is attacking in this lawsuit, they're attacking the algorithm because they're saying that the algorithm is creating the content itself, because the algorithm is creating a path for you to see things.
So the more you see it, the more they're gonna have it. The more you have it, they're gonna
they're gonna recommend it to you.
So that's why they're saying they're gonna get rid of the algorithm.
Well, that's if they lose. Like this is just like end game scenario.
But this is in the Supreme Court, right? This is the one that's in the Supreme Court right now.
I believe so. Yeah, it's like
I don't even know how they're gonna do that, because this because it infringes a little bit on your, I don't know, it's private company, but your free speech per se, right? And, you're supposed to be able to say what you want in this country. Different countries that already have different, they've been sued and they've been, whatever kind of laws they have.
But like YouTube is a company. Like I can't just go into a school. Like I can't say whatever I want at a school, because I can't say whatever I want in a courtroom. Like there's still rules that is adjust. Like yes, there's free speech, and we all know like the like. You can't yell fire in a crowded place, but you also can't just say whatever you want at whenever you want in a courtroom, right? There's still rules and regulations that'll get you kicked out of court.
I know, but what we're saying here is what the biggest challenge is, like we talked about winners and losers, right? When you make a rule, you're gonna have the winners are gonna lose and the losers are gonna lose, per se, and then it's gonna stay. So it narrows things up. I don't have an answer. I don't know what that is, but what I'm saying is there are people that are benefiting from what it is now, and there's people that get hurt by what it is now.
And I think this is more so the point that I was trying to get at. And I kept referencing like, well, that could mean that YouTube just turns into like a Netflix where they pick what goes on their platform. And yes, that might pigeonhole, that might make it a lot harder for creators to get through YouTube. But because of all the things that are
not just YouTube, because now if that law goes away, that's all.
Sure, across the internet.
It's Twitter, that's everything else, right? Mm-hmm.
So, yes, it might make it harder to go through those same platforms. But in the same time, it could also make it easier. But there is a chance. Like I understand where like, oh, wow, like we can't do YouTube the way we did YouTube to grow. We also might be able to tap into a market that, like, if the general mass of YouTube witnessed this whole thing happen over the like 3-5 years. I don't know how long this court case could take, but they're all watching it happen. They're seeing all the changes happen. Then they just turn, like, the viewership, the audience, like, just naturally adapts the environment where they're like, I'm not going to ever look at anything that, I'm not going to find my creators on YouTube. I'm going to find my creators on this platform. And then I will, like, when I find them on this platform, I can go over and check them out on YouTube.
Well, see,
so it's like, it might make it easier for someone like us with A0HD to like grow. Cause like we if we popped up on like a, another like Reddit page or something, or a Discord page, like, because we had a really fun video, then they go, oh wait, these guys are still making content. Now they start resharing it through those other platforms, those other things, where I think that allows you to still be able to, find people. You're not finding them on YouTube anymore. I think that's the major difference. It's just like you're not finding them on YouTube, but you can still grow through YouTube. Or if Rumble or something else finds a way to like circumnavigate, it's just the ecosystem of the industry.
So I'm gonna try and put this in like a different way to maybe see if you can see my point, because it's like I'm not disagreeing that like there's going to be other ways to grow after this. Like everyone always learns how to evolve and adapt.
Yeah.
My thing is, so let's say we're an apple farm, right?
Sure.
This is how I'll try and paint it out. So like let's say we're an apple farm, and right now we have this shipping company that is distributing it to like, oh yeah, so we know that these apples sell best at these stores, right?
Yeah.
And there is a law in place at the moment where it's like, if say say bad fruit is like goes through, it's like it's not in the fault of the distributor, right? But then that law gets taken away, and now the distributor or the shipping company knows that like, oh, we can get sued if we send a bad fruit to these stores. So they can make a couple decisions. They can either be like, we're going to hire a bunch of people. It's going to create a bigger overhead for them to kind of go through and pick out these bad fruits to make sure that these bad fruits don't get through, so they can't get sued, which is like what would probably happen to the bigger creators.
But
right?
they could pass the cost onto those creators.
Hang on. Okay. They could either like decide like, oh, I don't want to sell fruit anymore because that I can get sued. Mm-hmm. So they'll just stop that altogether. Mm-hmm. Or they can be like, we're only going to let through trusted sources or fruit that we know will last long enough where we don't have to worry about it. Right? So it's like now us as this fruit company, it's going to be harder for us to get these fruits through. Like, it's like, yes, we can still sell to multiple, like in different avenues. We can still sell in different places. But now the easy route of selling these fruits to this distributor that was already knew where to send it.
I think that's where we're disagreeing.
So it's like, I think that the way that like we're sending it to like these shipping companies who are already like deciding like this is where it's going to sell the best for you. Mm-hmm. Now we don't have that. Now we have to find where it sells the best on our own terms. We have to find the way that it sells the best in different places by ourselves. So it makes it harder for us to sell these fruits. And that's the point I'm trying to make. Whereas like all you're saying is that essentially what you were doing is just being like, yeah, but we can sell it in this place and it's not impossible to sell these fruits. And I was like, I've never said that it was impossible to sell the fruits. I just said it's making it harder. But you're like, oh, but you get to evolve and adapt. And I was like, I get that. Like, I'm just saying it's making it harder from where we're at right now to sell the fruits.
And I agree with you. You got a process and you're used to that process. And now it's you wake up, you know what you're going to do, boom, boom, versus now, okay, I got to reinvent.
Yes.
And now reinventing. Just look at how you just started the episode with, this being the most episodes you've had. Why did it take you so long?
Every episode's the most episodes I've had.
So anyway, I don't know if I had to throw the number in there, but anyway. Look how long it took you to, get to where you are. You had to do a lot of changes here. It hasn't been easy for you, right? It's been hard. Now all of a sudden you finally got it. You finally got your foot in the door, and they're saying, sorry, this door is closed. You got to try another venue, another way to do it. Now you got to reinvent. That's the party saying now it's hard again because now we got to figure this whole thing out. This camera may not work for this. This camera might not. This may not do this. Now that's all. That's all he's saying.
And I get that. Yeah. I also think that there is the possibility that like there's something that we don't know that like because it's kind of like a new gold rush where it's like there was this gold rush in what was the 40s or the 20s. I forget when the initial gold rush was. And then there's not like still a gold rush, but let's say there was another gold rush in 2025. Like that second gold rush, all the people that like whose families just like have been on the land mining gold year after year throughout even past the rush all the way from the 20s to 100 years later, they're still mining. Well, even though they might not have the equipment that is still legal in that area, they're a lot more in a lot better situation than anyone who's like, oh shit, now I want to get into it. And now all the equipment that they have, some of it might be outdated, some of it may need to be adjusted, but they already have the know-how on how to develop, and this is my point, like we already have the know-how to develop the content. The distribution is not the hard part, but especially for us. Like we're not.
Yep.
So the point is like, all I'm trying to make is that it's like, it's getting harder to grow, right? So it's like, say, and I'm not even saying like, oh, in terms of getting it necessarily out to people, like we can still distribute like as many apples as we could to like the smallest, like, you know, the local location, or, you know, we go out and go whatever. Like, so basically imagine like, this is how you're growing with your monetary value, right?
Yeah.
Because someone is helping you get it out, and you're able to like make as much money as possible. But now that is pigeonholed, now your avenues are getting smaller, because like to get that money, you need that help. Like, for example, it's almost as if like say they made a chain.
This is not new to the entertainment industry at all.
Right, but
Not at all.
But that doesn't change my point.
His point is it's now going to make it harder. Now it's going to, in other words, now yes, you can reinvent yourself, but now it's restarting all over again. It's going to get harder again. That's why he's saying he's not denying that it can't, it just cannot be done. He says, okay, now we're going to start from square one again.
Yes.
I don't think it's a measurement of difficulty, like easy. I think it's just what's existing and what's not existing. To me, I think like out of all the business degrees right now, I would say the most useless is marketing, because like a marketing degree, anyone can be a great marketer. A marketer in this situation, if this comes true, ends up being one of the most valuable like degrees to have, because as you mentioned with the apples, like now we have to find our own distributors. Well, instead of finding new distributors ourselves, we just hire a marketer, someone who knows those distribution channels, someone who has those paths, those avenues. Very similar to like the music industry, why so many people signed to record labels. They signed to record labels because they had the talent, they had the content, they had been making music for a while, and now it's like, well, how do I get myself on the radio? Well, if you sign to us, we'll get you on the radio, but you owe us, 3 albums and this many songs and this many things. Like,
so my point is not that you can't find these other. So let's stick with the music one, right? Now imagine a label picks you up, right? Or labels are just like grabbing people, doing whatever, right? But now labels can get sued based off of the music somebody makes, right?
Why would the label? What if you hire a manager?
Just
like
hang on. So now the label gets liable for whatever thing gets like musically gets put out. They're going to be very picky and choosy about who they decide they're going to get on that label. So now all the artists that are not on a label, it's going to be much harder for them to just create and do whatever they want to do to be able to get to this label to make them essentially rich. And I'm not saying that an independent artist cannot do the same on their own in whatever means they can. What I'm saying is that it gets difficult for the everyday creator to do the same as if they were to just to get on that label.
Okay, fine. But I like...
So it's like...
I'm going to agree to disagree, because like I also think like that's what makes you great. Like the hustle, the grind, like I'm putting so much time into becoming a better content creator every single time I'm in the studio, every single time we're working on AOHD, whatever we're doing. Like I'm trying to just become such a good creator so that I'm undeniable when it comes to being hired by a record label.
And there's already plenty of artists that do the exact same thing. The thing is that like when you take away certain avenues that help recommend that thing, and like even with these avenues, of course, there's going to be plenty of people who cannot do that, right? Like that can't make it doing the art that they want to do. But what I'm saying is that like that 98% of the people that fail, that percentage from this kind of change would bring it maybe to 99. I'm saying it just makes it more difficult to get.
So then when you make it. It makes it that much better.
Yeah, I'm sure, but
okay.
I'm not trying to take away the motivation. All I'm saying is that it is now becoming difficult because getting it out to the correct people, the people that you need to see those videos to create these growth, is going to be harder. And that's why there's a lot of creators that are worried about that law getting removed, because of the fact that it's like, there can be plenty of different changes that this law could, like, we can circumvent, or YouTube or these sites are going to have to circumvent to stay alive, right? But it's just like, for the average, like, say, me or you or any other content creator that hasn't already, like, gotten to a point, or even some of the bigger creators, because based off of, like, say if that does happen and YouTube becomes liable for that kind of stuff, like, now even the bigger creators, they have to, it's going to change their way of handling things. And so it's like, it's going to make it a little bit more difficult. And so what I'm trying to tell you is that it's like, it's only going to become more difficult. I'm not stating that we can't find other ways. I'm not stating that it's impossible, but it seems like your defense is just trying to be like, oh yes, we have other ways. We can still do things. And it's just like,
I'm doing what I hate most.
Yeah,
is
and I'm
like
just
being
like,
Gary V, David
and I'm
Goggins,
just like,
there's no good hustle. Like,
and I'm
fuck,
just like,
dude.
yeah, it's like, it's
Damn.
cool. I get the hustle. I get that you can get things done. I get that, like, this is still an avenue that can be opened. I'm just stating that it's going to be harder.
Right. When the rules change, you have to adapt. But when you adapt, you have to. It's going to be again more thought, more thinking, more trials, and test things out.
My final point, and then we can move on if there's any other counterpoints. But when you initially like called me out of the blue to like discuss this at the first time, you kind of like prefaced it like this whole thing is changing the internet as we know,
Because it is.
and I agreed at that point. My whole perception, and I guess the reason that I've almost been defensive in this back and forth, even though I feel like we're agreeing a lot more than we're actually disagreeing, is
I never said I disagreed with you. I just said that, like,
No, and
this
I-
is my point.
and I've never okay, well, it doesn't matter. Disagree. It doesn't matter. This back and forth has been very enlightening. We brought up a lot of like cool comparisons, but it doesn't matter. My whole point is the internet. I've always witnessed being similar to the invention of the car. The invention of the car was just a vehicle for the few people that risked it at first. Then it became like, for the rich. Then it became for the like commoner. Then it became like all these things came. Then, with, so many cars on the road, now we have to come up with like true roadways. And then on top of the roadways, we have to come up with the traffic laws, with this, with that. One of the things that happened to all car manufacturers was laws regarding seatbelts, where they legally have to have a seatbelt in every design. And I think that's a lot more recent than I'd like to
I think
imagine.
it's in the 70s or something, or 80s.
I think the 70s, they had to include them. And then, like, state laws still
The
affect.
70s also.
It was
Yeah,
70s?
that's
I was
what-
right.
70s is when the cars had to have a seatbelt in it. Up until the 70s, that's what, like
I think
50?
it was late 80s. You had to wear a seatbelt.
Late 80s?
You didn't have to wear a seatbelt.
And I think around the same time, they also added the whole drinking thing. You can't. Yeah.
But-
it was late 80s.
But when was the car was initially invented in what, the 1820s? And I know the internet has evolved a lot faster than mobile. What is it? What am I thinking of? What mobile? Mobile device, not a mobile device. What is the fucking car called?
Tesla?
No. Like what is the automobile?
Automobile.
I'm thinking. I'm putting the wrong word
Automotive.
first. Automobile, whatever. That's what I think is happening to the internet. It's only been around so many years. We're finding the seatbelt. We're finding the things of like how we need to navigate through this, how we need to utilize this incredible thing. Because as we've developed seatbelts and enforced different seatbelt laws, not just individually, obviously with the manufacturers, like the ability of vehicles have like substantially increased. There was not 18-wheelers when cars were invented, but then we started to learn, not only can we transport a person, we could transport a lot of people on a bus. We could transport a lot of goods on a truck. We could so like all
I
these.
think I figured out a different way, maybe to help you understand like what I'm trying to point out is, okay, so let's stick with the cars.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine in the beginning, right? And obviously this doesn't exist because this is not the beginning, but like imagine in the beginning there was also like electronic cars, right? and the gas cars, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or let's say even just say diesel, right? But there, at first, you can get sued for having diesel cars because it destroys the ecosystem,
sure.
the environment. But and then there was a law put in place that protected like companies from like that they could use diesel because that they needed that kind of power to like run their machines, and if they were doing that, it would be fine. But and then somebody attacked that law, and now that law is being removed. Now these companies are going to be liable again for the diesel, and they have to like find a different way to make that company run or just close completely. Like because of the fact that the diesel is like the kind of power they still need to run, and like say the electronic equipment, like if we went based off of electricity rather than diesel, is not powerful enough to run what they need to run, right? Now they have to find a new way to do it. Am I saying that that's going to be impossible? No, but what I'm saying is that like it's going to be harder for especially even some of these smaller companies to get that power.
It's happening right now, right? It's happening right now with the automobiles. You're trying to change, they're getting rid of the gas. They want you to electric. These companies now have to, change their whole mechanism, how to build a car, how to put because they're making gas engine cars, and now they, everything. So for them, it's harder for them too. It's not because now they have to reinvent.
So it's like ecosystem of capitalism.
And it's like a bit of a backtrack for some of these companies, because it's just like we just had that law, because that law changed I think either like early 90s, that one that essentially protects the people in the internet, like the companies on the internet, in the early 90s, and now they're backpedaling if it goes through, that is. I'm not saying that it will, but I'm saying if it does, it backpedals on the law that protects a lot of these companies. So now that's why it's like, will there be a way to do it? Yes, the internet ran for a little while before that, but it's just like.
So not only is there a X amount of time for this case to continue on, like years, X amount, but then even if it is decided one way or the other, that decision will most likely take a year to be like starting on 2030, this law goes into place. Mm-hmm. So,
and again,
to me, that I put the fault on all the companies that fail because of that. Like if YouTube fails because they had all this time to plan a contingency plan, then they know they need to enact that contingency plan. Then they got. I
don't think the plan. The thing is not the failing of the company per se.
It's not that.
It's
getting to the content. It's now, having them filter things out or not filter things out, and how do they continue produce, giving the customers what they want, which is nice short videos and listening and entertainment per se, without being sued. So they have to now, and then whatever they have to do is going to change the business that's going into that. That's going to have to change. So that's what he's basically saying. So things are going to have to change. There's going to be a change now of how things are normally done. So,
So, like, for example, even like, because I know that you were saying like there's different ways to do it and all this other stuff. And
we're losing the entire forest behind you.
Oh, that's so funny.
Those are real. Damn it.
But yeah, so it's like all it does is it just makes it more difficult. Like, so for example, now rather than like say if YouTube does decide to be picky, right? Now rather than doing like, oh, we can just upload whatever content we want, now we have to like essentially pitch the content that we create. So it's like with us pitching the type of content we create, it's just now it goes back to like similar to how old
movie
TV,
industry,
TV series, and it's just like the thing that like made everyone excited about being a content creator was the fact that like essentially almost in theory anybody could become a content creator and make it.
But anyone shouldn't become Speaking of great content creators, I want to switch gears a little bit. Let us know what you think about that back and forth. But Dad, with you here, can you see the screen okay?
Sure.
You got your headset turned up?
I have my headset turned up. Yep.
All right.
All out there with Paul.
Wait. I'm sorry, listeners, viewers, whatever. I'm going to play one of the funny videos that I saw on Instagram. I think this is hilarious. I just want to get your takes on it.
We've got Lonzo Ball. Wall out there with Paul, and it's Ball, and it's Fall in at the center, filling out the middle. And for the Hornets, we've got Wall, Ball out there with Ball. Then it's Chris Paul. And it's Fall in at the 5. Roam in the paint. Ball's checked in for Fall. Ball comes in for Ball.
So
It's all good.
yes, some guy just like made on 2K made a team of alls. I just thought that was funny.
I hadn't seen that.
When was the last time did you ever play? I know you played Madden. You used to, when we were growing up. We played a little Madden.
We played. I played the basketball. And
Did we play basketball?
The soccer one,
like the 2002
yeah,
basketball.
the soccer was tough for me.
Soccer was weird.
And then
when we got back into like sport games, it was FIFA, and that was a little too advanced.
Yeah, it was a little too advanced. But the old
Madden days.
Just hit
oh my gosh!
Just hit the X or throw it, and
I
someone will catch it.
I used to be able to play you in Madden because, like, we would go
we
back
still
and
have
forth.
some of those.
We have all of them. We used to be able to go back and forth. I could never play Chris, and it wasn't until I was talking to one of my colleagues, one of my teachers, because one of the students brought up like a couple like players, and then somehow Madden got brought up, and I start like bringing up some of the other Maddens that I played, and he's a little older than me, but he was like, "Oh yeah, I remember playing this one and this one," and he mentioned like, "Oh, I forgot what Madden, but like this player was like a cheat code because there was some glitch or whatever, and it was really good," and I remembered, and this is kind of like going back to my sports talk, my like part of why I think I liked the Bengals so much, like with Joe Burrow and everything, is because back in the day, I used to love the Bengals because I love Safari. I love Jeff Corwin and Steve Irwin. In fact, I have his action figure somewhere laying around the studio. Oh, yeah, right here. Like, I'm not kidding. We had an action figure of the Crocodile Hunter, and he used to talk. Yeah, he doesn't talk anymore. And I love the Bengals because tigers were my favorite animals. So I used to always pick the Bengals, and then me and my brother were always like, we allowed ourselves, you get one created player that you can add to any team. So I'd always create a quarterback for the Bengals because like I wanted to be a quarterback, and I thought Bengals were my favorite team. Boom, put him on that team.
I'm sorry.
Chris would always make, and we'd make him like a 99 overall. We'd just increase all the stats to 99. He was the best punter on the team, the best kicker on the team, and the best quarterback on the team, just because all of his stats were perfect. Chris would always make a running back, and he would always be the Atlanta Falcons. Back in the day, Michael Vick was a cheat code. If you had just Michael Vick on your team, like, dude, he could do anything that my created player could do. And now he
has two creators.
He had the best guy in the game, and then he had his running back. So he would always blow me out. He would destroy me in every single game, and I never understood. Like, I just was like, "Oh, I'm the younger brother. I'm just not as good at the game."
Took you 20 years to figure that out, huh?
20 years. Dude, and that's not the only game. Like, as this conversation with this with my colleague continued, I started like, wait, he did that on like Madden. It wasn't even a Madden yet. It was like another NFL game with not Marshawn Lynch. It was a Rams running back that like
Falk.
I think it was Falk. Mm-hmm. And if you hit circle, it was a spin move. And most players, the spin move would like break a tackle or two. Well, Marshall Falk's stats were so high, every time you hit circle, he automatically breaks the tackles. So Chris would just hand it off, circle, all the way down the field. And then he scores a touchdown. He would crush me every time I played. So
he never gave you the secret up either, huh?
No. And I realized it to this day because like even in like Call of Duty, I like to pick a gun that like I like the look of it. I like the feel of it. It's usually not the best gun in the game, but it's like fun to run around with and get kills. And I don't usually do the best. I'm not a great, player. Then I started to realize like, well, there's literally YouTube accounts that show you like the nerdy breakdown of statistics, like the best guns in the game. And like when you're playing in more competitive arenas, like we do the Warzone now, the Battle Royale, like I would always, you have to do that if you want to even play. Cause like certain guns are like overpowered to the point where like, if you're fighting someone without that gun, you automatically lose just because they're using that gun. Even if you start shooting them first and you get more bullets in them, that gun's just stronger, so they win. I started to realize, like, I remember even before Warzone and all that, Chris would use the better guns on the thing, not because... And then when we were talking about, like, Pokemon and stuff, he was never picking when we would battle each other and train Pokemon to 100 just to battle each other. He would never pick the Pokemon that looks cool or that he likes. Like I would pick Blastoise or I don't know, Vaporeon because I liked them. But now I just line my team up with a bunch of water types because I like water types. Oh, he's like, no, I got I got 6 different types. I got all the different move sets. I got all the things that will make sure I win every single time I play.
So I hear that you don't understand strategy as a child, and like,
I just didn't know. I didn't
that's
know.
all I heard.
I didn't know.
Naive.
I didn't know that's like, because I don't have a huge competitive spirit about me. So, like, I like doing the things because I enjoy doing the thing.
Oh, you better get that competitive spirit if you want to bring up this program.
Well, finally, I just needed to find what I was competitive about or passionate about. And so, like, once I finally, like, started realizing this, all my entire younger brotherhood child life, like, just started to make sense. I'm like, oh, he doesn't care about what is nostalgic or what he likes the look of. He's just like, no, I want to do the best at the game.
You play the game to win.
Yeah.
This guy, oh my gosh.
Like,
Quote.
even me as a child, like I played video games, yes, plenty, but like the goal was to win.
You were the younger brother? Oh, no. Oh, that's right. You were the older brother. You fucking... Oh, sorry.
I am the third oldest.
Oh, okay. But, like, younger brothers?
Huh? Yes, I have younger brothers. I have an older brother as well and an older sister.
Oh, okay. I knew you had an older sister, but I didn't know you had an older
Yeah, and then I also used to have, like, my uncle live with us for a little while, and he played video games, and then I had, like, a couple older friends that they played video games, and at one point, like, when I'm playing against my brothers, yeah, I was the older brother that slaughtered. But playing against the older ones, I was like, there has to be a way that they're winning like this. Like, and I'd have to, like, and I'd understand, like, how they were winning, and then, like...
They taught you the ways.
Well, no, they wouldn't teach me. I would just watch how they were winning and get annoyed with how they were winning and find ways to get around that. Because it's, like, that anger and competitive side of me while playing those video games that I was like, I need to be able to win.
Did you play sport games as a kid?
No, I actually didn't. I played wrestling games.
Wrestling, okay.
I also played like games like Super Smash Bros, where it was like
Sure.
it's a fighting-based game, arcade-based games, like stuff like that. Those were like my go-to.
Okay.
And then I also loved storyline or just like puzzle-based games. So that's why Legend of Zelda became one of my favorite games.
Yeah.
But
But not like a Madden, a FIFA.
I never got into those because I never was really into sports even growing up.
Mm.
So I got into more of like the fighting based stuff. I was already like a comic book fan and an anime fan, and you know, like those are the ones that stuck out to me.
Yeah. All right, a couple more that I want to show off, and then we can kind of jump into the wrap up of today's episode. So I'm mostly curious. I know it's kind of hard to see. Maybe I can.
I can see. Is
see?
Chris on it?
It's a random profile. It's not Chris. I want to know what you know, like if you understand this quote, and then we could break it down and see if we agree or not. It says, "Let's go" is the male equivalent to slay. Do you know what that means?
No idea.
Gio, do you know what that means?
Say it one more time.
Let's go is the male equivalent to slay.
Nah.
Have you ever heard, girl? It's like the new term. You know, you've heard like,
Actually, yeah, I can see that.
You've heard like "go off, queen," whatever.
Yeah.
Like, so slay is like the new version of that. It's like you slay, girl. Like that's how it's kind of used. So this guy's quote was "let's go." So like,
let's go. Like,
yeah, dude. There's a lot of ways you could use it, and it's used like it's the male version of it. I totally agree with this. It's like,
no, I agree with that now.
Oh, dude,
That's Tom Brady's famous line. Let's go.
Tom Brady,
That's the boys' way.
When you find out your buddy like just lost his virginity, like, yeah, let's go, dude. Like stupid stuff. Like, or like your buddy is like, yo, I bet, dude. I have a close buddy. In freshman year of college, if I showed you what he looks like, no one would be like, haha, yeah, he could do a flip. Dude, just rant. Yeah. Do you know who I'm talking about?
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, I could do it. And then I was like, no, you can't. And we're outside the university library. They had just kind of like created. There was a couple like chairs and tables. We lined up like 6 chairs, and he ran, or no, 4 chairs. He ran, jumped over all 4. I was like, he might be able to do a flip. We lined up 5, jumps over 5. We lined up 6, and he like clips himself in the 6 and eats crap. And this is like orientation week of my freshman year of college. And I'm like, I got to see what else he could do. I'm like, you really said you could do a flip? Yeah, watch. Runs, does a flip. Dude, I feel like he knew subconsciously, like he was waiting for like girls to be walking by because we were doing the chairs thing. There's no one near the library. And he does the flip, and there happened to be like these 2 girls walking by, like, and I'm just like, let's go. Like, there's just another way to, like, I feel like every time someone like shotguns a beer, it's like, yeah, let's go. Like, it is such a male equivalent to Slay. Like, just cheering on your boys.
That's a very long way to just say that it's equivalent. But yes, I agree.
No, it's the podcast way. All right. Last one.
Next one.
You want to talk a little about his, freshman orientation?
Yeah, he needed to get that out there. I get it, though. That ADHD, just like memory lane, it has to come out.
All right. I don't even know how to preface this. We're going to watch the first one. We may watch 2. But we're going to scroll through this Instagram. I've recently come across, due to my good friend and former roommate, just sending, I don't know how he found this in his Explore page, but just want to know your general thought. Oh, no, this is not the one I wanted to watch. I wanted to watch.
Oh my goodness. Me hair go too crazy. Me love me Fabio. Okay, you shush. Okay, you not laugh at me. You watch video. You keep quiet. Shush. Okay, me love me Fabio.
Okay, that's one of his best ones. But I think this was one of the first ones I saw. Nope. I don't know if he's trying to be an actor or something. I don't know what his...
What is love? Love is what? Love is 2 people who want to spend the rest of their life with one another? What is love? Romance? What is love? I love you. You love me. Love. It's a word that means so much to so many. It's never to be taken lightly. Love, right? Many things happen with love. Don't take love for granted. It's not something you take easy.
This is
Have a
way
nice
too long for an
day.
Instagram Reels.
Bye.
All right.
I expected a car crash. Something.
I don't even know if he's right. My biggest question, and the more I see, and we're going to watch one more just to hopefully answer the question I'm about to ask you. Do you think he's self-aware? Like,
Yeah.
do you think he knows when he posts these things? Like,
He knows what he's doing.
like you think
You know
like he's doing a character and he knows he's doing a character?
Yep.
And it's like, he just bit.
Yeah, I do.
Okay, so
Think of the class clown in your class when the kid that's always like acting weird or whatever, doing stupid things.
you think he's
to be
just
noticed.
acting weird because it gives
Or
him
you-
some attention? I mean, he doesn't have a substantial following or anything. And
Yeah, maybe that's what he wants. That's how they get.
do you think? What do you think of his look? The hair parted in the middle, long, big eyebrows, in the up angle selfie.
I think those are the reasons why I think he's self-aware. It's because it's like
Dude, let me scroll. Look at this.
No, but the fact that it's always like the same view, it's always the same
Yep.
weird face that he decides to make, it's and like similar energy. I do think that it's like he's like, whether it was he did one and it blew up and he was like, I need to make this, like, this is what was working for me. It's
But
like
that
you
would
can-
mean he's not self-aware. If he like
but-
one blew up and then he keeps doing it and he doesn't realize that like he kind of like he
I
looks
think-
goofy.
he does look goofy, but I think he knows that he looks goofy. I think that the whole point of him doing it exactly like that is, and why it's always consistent and almost the same each time, is because of the fact that maybe he's like, this is the character I'm trying to create. Almost like, I don't know if you remember way back in the day, the psycho girlfriend meme where
Oh,
she just
sure.
stayed the same character each and every time.
Do you think like if I invited him over to the podcast, he'd be normal, and I could like watch this back and he'd be like, ha, yeah.
I think if you brought it as like told him to come on as like, hey, this is an interview, he'd probably just be normal. But I think that like if you decided to be like, oh, I want you to just come on and be.
So you think off air he'd be normal,
Yes.
and then on air he might be.
Yeah,
the
I mean,
Right,
character.
this is a character.
Yeah.
He's hoping more people like you put this in, so more people go and look at his
Like,
Instagram.
I think that-
Check him out. I'll plug him. Instagram Napoleon, not even spelt right. I don't know. Nape
but this is
Vaughn
this
Jamal.
This is like like I said, yeah. This is a character. This is that's him playing that role.
Do we play this one?
Oh my
He's trying to make.
goodness.
Yeah,
Hey,
I'll play this one.
you
All
mentioned
right, all right.
you mentioned comedy, right? This guy's trying to make you laugh. Look, he made you laugh.
He makes me laugh, dude. So my buddy sent this to me, and I was like, if I scrolled through the DMs from my buddy, like you'd understand that the type of videos he typically sends me are people that are not self-aware, which is why I was like, okay, that's why he's sending me this. So then I started following him right away, and the more I see it pop up in my feed, I'm like, dude, I don't know. I think this guy is I'm not gonna say mental illness, but I think there's a like piece of just like lack of self-awareness that like he doesn't like. It's just goofy. Like, I don't think the way you guys are saying it, like he's doing a character, he's doing a goofy character, he's
Like a
just trying to
bit,
make you
yeah.
laugh. I don't think he's as aware of that bit as possible. Like, he might know he's doing a character, he might know he's being a little exaggerated version of himself, but I don't think he knows that continuing to put them out all the time and not mixing in like a more normal feed or a normal like picture from time to time is normal.
He has to separate himself. He's a marketer.
Yeah. I mean,
He'll make you a marketing man.
But like, I think that for me, it's like, does he realize that staying that way may not be, beneficial to his growth? No, but like, but that doesn't mean that he's not self-aware. That just may mean that like he may be not. He doesn't know. Like, it's like, what's the term? Like, he's not naive, but he might be naive to the
Yeah.
information. But I don't think that like that necessarily means he's not self-aware.
Well, if this ever comes back to you and you see this, is mine? I don't think mine's recording. So let me look at this one. If this ever comes back to you and you're questioning my analysis, please reach out. I'd love to get to know you a little bit better, get to know the person behind the character. If this isn't a character, I'd also like to get to know more about you. You've really brought a lot of joy to my life in whatever way. I don't know if you're meaning to or not. But I don't know. I like, there was one that he put out just about like, stop like what's the purpose of putting mean comments? Like, I'm just putting this out there. And I was like, and I actually like wanted to defend you. I was in agreement where, yeah, like, you're just doing your thing. Like, I appreciate the hustle. Like, if this is how you're going to make it, I hope the best for you. And I want to get to know more about that story. I mean, you definitely have a substantial amount more followers and likes on your posts and stuff than I do, or my podcast page does. I'm just intrigued. I really like, I will keep following your story, whether I keep bringing it over to Ever Changing Vibe or not. Or if any of my listeners want to, do a deeper dive and try to get to know this guy.
I'm so
You're welcome
excited
on the
to
show.
know that like all your listeners don't see video; they're just listening. So all they're gonna hear is whatever the hell that was, and so like that's gonna probably create a bias. But
Fair
it
enough.
is what it is.
Yeah.
But you guys had pretty good analysis. I think we've had a fun episode. I think we got a lot. We just got a pretty. I think we hashed out that YouTube thing. I think we're on the same page now. Even if my audience didn't agree or doesn't think that I am understanding of Gio's points, I've come a long way, and I'll talk with him probably further at a later point, really breaking down my new stance. I just wanted to, during the conversation, keep my feet in the ground and kind of follow through with my point, but I think I've been swayed.
Dude, if you know, I think you know Brandon well enough. He's a debater, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
He likes to take the other side.
Yep.
And then he defends as far as he can't even. He can't defend it anymore.
Yep. Like there's so many times where I'll be seeing him like defend a point that I'm just like, you're not doing anything. Like it doesn't change the point. Like you're so far from the thing, but you're so stuck on the debate.
Circles.
Glad the two of you are getting along, and this has been another great episode. Stay tuned. We got a big episode 100, big milestone for you guys next week. Thank you again for tuning in, watching, listening, however you're finding these. Dad, thanks again for popping in impromptu, last minute.
Pleasure.
Gio, as always, endlessly appreciate you.
Of course.
All right, let's. You gotta. Oh, God. You get 3 more mistakes and then you're fired.
No more joking around for you.